Hey friends, welcome back to Hungry for More podcast. I'm Robin Mons. This is Jennifer Winder, and we are your mindset coaches, especially when it comes to food. Okay. This is something we talk about because both of us, being in the weight loss industry for years, recognized that no matter what you were doing on the nutritional side of things and the changes you were making and the exercise you were doing, if you didn't change the patterns in your brain on how you behave around food, then you likely are going back to those behaviors and regaining that weight. So here is our special little niche where we help you with the mindset. And today we're going to be talking about something that many of you probably deal with. I know I did for sure. And that is food anxiety. Anxious energy, anxious feelings around food. And there's lots of different reasons why people have this. Today, we're going to talk about 3 of them that we see the most prevalent ones, but there are several. Jennifer, did you have this experience with anxiety with food?
Oh yeah. I mean, I know we're talking about 3 today, but
Mhm.
there were restaurants I wouldn't go to because I had anxiety about them. There were
Mm,
movie theaters I would avoid because I was like, I can't go to that theater without getting a shake. Like I would get this feeling of worried or nervousness
yeah.
events. I mean, we're gonna list several, but we're gonna talk in depth about 3. And I'm curious to know, so let us know if you can relate to one or more of these.
Yeah, just this morning at the gym was talking with someone and she actually spoke. I told her what the topic of it was and she's like, "Oh, do you know what mine are?" And she named up 2 of the 3
Yeah,
that we're talking about today. So we see you, we feel you, we're right along with you. We had
yeah.
these things, but the reason we overcame them wasn't because we just learned how to willpower hard through diets. It's because we learned how to change our mindset and we learned how to stop feeling anxious around food. And when you stop feeling anxious around food, you actually act different around the food.
Yeah,
And
it
that's
literally has
huge.
no energy to you.
Right.
It's literally the reason why I can make 300 cupcakes. And I used to be like, I can't do Christmas baking this year. Here, this is the best. I can't do Christmas
Yeah.
baking because I'll eat it all. And now it's like, I don't care. It's
Yeah.
totally fine. Doesn't have
Yeah.
any emotional hold, no anxiety over it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I have some, sometimes I
I was
don't.
going to say, and it's not because you've just learned how to avoid that food and never have it. Some days maybe you can make it and you're really not wanting it, even though you just
Yeah,
made it. Some days you do. Either way, the anxiety, and that's not what's driving
gone.
here.
Yep, absolutely.
So we're going to jump into the first one.
Okay.
This is one many of you may be dealing with right now or dealt with right before the new year as you started to recommit to that plan that you wanted to do and you realize, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to be good, and I know I'm going to have to give up certain foods. Okay, so that's the first anxiety, that anxiousness about having to feel like you have to give up foods that you really love. And the way we coach on this is actually, it's if this is not a food that you intend to put away for the entire rest of your life, if it's a food that you want to be able to coexist with, but you just want to feel more in control when you're eating it, then we don't recommend completely giving up that food. We recommend that you learn how to eat that food in an energy that's not anxious, in an energy that's not overly, we call that dam energy, right? Where you've avoided
Mhm.
and resisted. And then finally you say, okay, I will this time. And the dam breaks and you're like, why couldn't I just eat 2 of them? I ate the whole plate of it,
Right.
right? So this is how we learn. So number 1, we do not recommend fully giving up that food unless it truly is, you know what, this food causes me so many problems. I actually know for the rest of my life I do
Right.
not want to eat it.
That's
That's
totally
a different
different.
energy. That's a
Right.
different energy,
It's
right?
not a restrictive energy, it's a health reason, right?
Yeah.
If I eat this, it causes me to have major inflammation. So I'm going to
Right.
really do avoid that.
Yeah, and just to finish off, so not recommending fully giving it up, but then it's stabilizing the energy around that food, not to make that food crazy special and it's the forbidden fruit and it's the, what's the name, what do we call it when we're like, it's my vice or whatever, right? It's my
Kryptonite,
guilty
my
pleasure,
kryptonite.
my kryptonite. We have to drop all those labels because those labels are what hype us with that energy. And I just coached somebody on this last week with this anxiety, and it's really of saying to your brain, listen, I'm not going to take this away from you. Yes, we're striving to be healthier. Yes, we're striving to make good, healthy choices and nourish ourselves, but I'm not going to take this food away from you. All I'm asking of you is when you do eat it, to be mindful. Eat it along with the meal, right? Eat it when you're actually hungry. There's certain things that we say yes and no to a lot of times, not even based on what the actual food is. It's about, well, it's me passing by my kitchen and there's something sitting out from last night and just being like, well, I'm not hungry right now, but when I am hungry, I'll consider this. I may eat this. You can do that with those foods. So that is when you are anxious about giving up the food, you're going to build up so much repressed energy that by the time you allow yourself, or you say you're going to have a cheat or whatever, when you are with that food, it's that dam breaks, you will overdo it. And then you'll reinforce to yourself, see, I can never eat this food because it causes me so many problems. I can't control
When I
myself.
do, I just eat it all. It's out of
Yep.
control. Yeah.
So you reinforce, you can't be trusted with it. I've got to give it up. And then the next time you're recommitting to your health, you're like, okay, there goes that food. So let that go. And then really have that conversation. It's almost like a scared child. You have to say, listen, we are changing things up here, but we're not taking this away. We're just going to be mindful and use it in a way that serves us, and we can still enjoy the pleasure of it. So that's number one. Jennifer, talk about the second one, the anxiety for the weekend.
Okay, yes, weekend anxiety. And this can be several different things. It really encompasses a lot. We work with a lot of clients who, and maybe you have felt this way, who are like, Monday through Friday afternoon, I'm doing great. And then the weekend comes and everything falls apart. So
I undo it all.
I
Yeah.
undo it all. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps back, whatever it is for you. So there's an anxiety of the weekend coming, because what are you going to look like? How will your weekend have gone when you get to the other side of it? And you think of the events that you may have on the weekend. Maybe you're doing things you don't normally do. You're going out to dinner, you're
celebrating a
at an
birthday.
event, there's birthday parties, whatever that is, there can be anxieties with that. For me, one thing, and I don't know if it was so much as an anxiety as much as it used to just annoy me so bad, is there's certain foods that I don't eat because they cause inflammation in my body. My body is very clear with me on that. And I got a really good reminder a few weeks ago when I was at my parents'. So it's like every so often. But when I'm dishing up my plate and everybody has to make comments about how I'm so good because you're not taking this or not taking that. And it has nothing to do with that, right? It's not a good or it's not a bad. It's just what I'm not choosing to eat for whatever the reasons are. It
In
doesn't
that moment.
matter. In that moment.
Right.
3 days later, I could partake of whatever I wasn't partaking of.
Yeah.
And it still doesn't matter. It's nobody's business. And so I would really get like, oh, great. What are they going to say to me today? What are they going to say to me today? Do I want to go out to eat with my girlfriends for lunch? And their comment to me was in turn putting themselves down, which bugged me too, right? Because they're saying, I can't be as strong.
I'm not so strong. Yeah.
Or in the moments when I choose to eat the thing that maybe they consider the not good food, and they're like, wow, I can't believe you're eating that. So it would go both ways, right?
Oh, right. Totally.
All this anxiety over the weekend and doing it and just being like, what's going on? But the reality is, who has the authority over that and over what we're eating? Like, who has the authority over our schedule? It's not our food. Our food doesn't dictate that to us. And the events that we have don't dictate that to us. We get to, same thing as anything, is check in with our body. Am I hungry? And if I am, okay, great. What am I going to eat in the current situation that I'm in? And it may be food that's different. You may be going to a lovely restaurant and want to partake of some of the stuff there that you don't normally eat. So the key then is to listen to your body and stop eating when you're full. You're already hungry, I'm sure, when you get there for dinner. Check in
Yeah, that's
anyway.
the
But with I
assumption is
know
that you're
I'm
going
going
home.
out to eat, I usually prepare so I can make sure I'm hungry when I get there.
Right.
Check in and then check in and know when you're done and enjoy yourself. And it's not the, well, I already had this. I don't normally eat this, so I'm just going to eat whatever I want the rest of the night. That's what builds this
Mhm.
anxiety.
Yes.
It's really mistrust in yourself.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And that's what has us overeating and overdoing on the back end, things we wouldn't normally, but because we let ourselves have the thing that we normally wouldn't, or during the week don't eat, then just kind of those gates open, and yeah, we say, well, I'll just start over Monday and eat clean. I'll make the best of it today since I already
yeah. And
started.
then today turns into Sunday, right? Saturday
Mhm.
turns into Sunday, and it's like Monday's good. So you go, the same cycle starts again and again. And before we move on to the next one, I want to add, we have a podcast on each individual one of these, right?
Yeah.
We
Yep.
have a podcast if you're wondering what DAM eats are and the DAM energy, or
Mhm.
on this one, starting over on Monday. We have podcasts on all of these if you really want that broken down for you.
For sure. So with the second one, if you are experiencing this, if you're like, I tend to do so good, and so I get anxious when the weekend comes because I just know I'm going to undo things, or if there's an event coming up and you're anxious about that, the answer to that, the mindset shift is, it's not my schedule that dictates if I'm going to be successful. All I need to do is just stay connected to my body. So yes, I may eat a different food on the weekend than I usually do on the weekday, or I may not have the meal prep stuff that I did on the weekday. I've run out and it's Saturday and it just looks different with food. That's okay. Reassuring yourself that as long as I stay connected and I eat when I'm hungry, and I'm aware of when it's just my mind suggesting food, and I respond differently, right, by not eating.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do eat, I'm going to listen and I'm going to stop when I'm satisfied. You can roll beautifully through the weekend. You can go to that event and not feel like you're not eating like everyone else. But when the anxiety is there, it's going to have you kind of in that frenzy. And again, your behavior with food will be frenzied, period. So calming that down. Okay, the shift in schedules doesn't dictate how successful I can be. It's not the authority. My body is, and I'm just going to stay connected. Okay. That's the fix. That's the healing mindset that we want to take into the weekends with us, or to special
And
events.
please don't skip an amazing something because you're worried about the food aspect of it.
Yeah.
It sounds ridiculous, but I've done it.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I can't make it tonight. I'm busy. And it's really because I didn't understand. I didn't
yeah. You're
understand.
scared to be there with the food, and you're
Mhm.
scared of how you're going to behave. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Number 3, the anxiety around scarcity, food scarcity. Y'all, this really is a thing that I recognize. This was probably my main anxiety, to be honest, was around this. And again, this is one of the things that got brought up at the gym this morning, which is funny because food scarcity, we look around, it's like we got basements full of food, we got pantries full of food, we've got fridges full of food, every corner I've got stores with food. We are not, gratefully, if you're listening to this, most likely you're not in a scarce environment with food, but we still have that mindset. So it doesn't matter how much access we have to food or how much we can see that we're not going to starve. If your mindset is scarcity based, your brain will react as if you're in deprivation, right? And so where we see this a lot, the scarcity with food, is when you're eating, and this is probably from years and years of dieting, where maybe you had a certain calorie count you're trying to stay with, and you keep eating because you're afraid to get hungry again. Okay. You want to make sure you really stuff yourself so that you don't get hungry for a long time, because I only have so much calories I can use, or whatever. I'm scared I'll get hungry. And then there's the next choice I have to make. And that's the next willpower hurdle I have to get through. So we tend to overstuff ourselves on the back end because of this fear of getting hungry again.
Yeah. And let me add to that.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter if you're stuffing yourself with broccoli.
Right.
Stuffing yourself is stuffing yourself, because it used to be like people would say, well, I hear it all the time. Not people would say, it's every day. Before I eat food, I drink a glass of water to make sure it fills up my stomach. Or, well, I wasn't really hungry, but I wanted to make sure I lasted. So instead of having more of this, I had a lot more of the vegetables just to fill up the space. Were you hungry? No, I was actually really full. And when I got done, I was too full.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because you can do that. You can overeat with healthy food, you
Healthy. Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
You
It's still a
absolutely can.
scarcity. Yeah. It's scarcity
Same thing.
mentality that's driving that. Right.
Right.
It's not trying to be responsible and, make sure I pack in the healthy things so I won't get hungry. No, it's a mindset thing, and it's a scarcity route in your brain. Just this week, yesterday, today's Tuesday, huh? Just yesterday, I coached someone who had a great breakthrough with this, that she absolutely loves. They have a traditional pot roast, potatoes, carrots every Sunday. And she had really struggled. She's like, that is something I always overeat. And the scarcity around it is because it's so special. And I know I can't have this every day. So that's what feeds her scarcity mindset of it being the special food that she loves so much. And she's like, I easily ate, enjoyed it. I loved it. And I stopped when I was done, when my body was satisfied. She's like, I have always, for the last 20 plus years, have always gone back for seconds, because I don't want it to be gone. I don't want the goodness to go away. And she's like, it was crazy. And it wasn't a willpower win. She wasn't like, Robin, I just wanted more so bad. And I made a good choice. It was just truly like, it's clicking in. She's been practicing this enough that she's like, I'm done. I will have some more next week. It was delicious. And thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
We'll
you
see
for
you
that
again in a
nourishment.
week.
Yeah. And it wasn't even this willpower battle. It was a true honoring of the body saying, so good. Thank you. I'm done. And her going, okay, you got it. No problem.
Awesome.
That's what happens. The communication between the body saying, thank you, I'm done, and you going, I hear you, no problem, is such a great partnership versus I'm done and being like, no, but I might get hungry later, or this is just too special. This is just too good. That's where you have to come in with that willpower. But once you heal the mindset and you don't have that scarcity energy, no willpower is necessary. It's just like, oh, I hear you. Great. Can't wait for pot roast next week.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's awesome.
I
That's
know.
awesome. And I
Such
think
a huge
sometimes
win.
with that Sunday dinner for me, it's like all my adult children are home. So you just have all the feels, right?
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
probably like that for her, I imagine, where you're
That's
just like,
exactly right. She said the same thing. All my kids are home. She has grown kids. And she says, I've never behaved like that in such a peaceful way.
it's
Right.
great.
Before, when she was dieting, she'd be really like, oh, gotta cut it off, or maybe I'll just get two more. It was just a completely natural, beautiful transition, and nothing was lost. She didn't deprive herself of anything.
Yeah,
But
that's
she
awesome.
dropped the scarcity. So we tend to have that again when we're worried about getting hungry again, when we make the food so special and it's going to be taken away and we'll never have it again. Or we're afraid it's going to run out. I know for me, I have four brothers. Or when we come from large families, a lot of us adopted some of that scarcity mindset of just making sure, or like the really yummy stuff that came in the house went so fast. And so
Oh,
we
yeah.
developed that scarcity mindset. So the healing of it is showing ourselves, this food is available to me again. It's
Yeah.
going to be okay. Right.
You can
And on
always
the
have it.
hunger, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, You can always have it. And it is interesting with your example because she was having it weekly. It wasn't even like it was 6 months
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Um, and then with being afraid to get hungry again, I do want to address this because that really does. This is some of the damage that has come from dieting throughout the years. When you're afraid of like, oh, I don't want to get hungry again, just really trusting the body and just being like, when I'm hungry again, when you tell me that you need food and I'm clear that it's you telling me, I promise I'll eat.
yeah, you can trust me. I will
Done.
take care of you.
Yeah, you can try. I will not deprive you of food when you truly have a hunger need. I
Well,
will say no to food when I recognize it's my
right.
money.
There is a flip side to that too, of your mind saying if you're out and about and you get stuck in traffic. Last week there were people stuck in traffic for 4 hours. The roads were so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was right during the dinner hour, and I thought, wow, there may have been some really hangry people. But the reality is, teaching your mind that you'll actually be fine. Your body has everything it needs
Yep.
to survive. So if you're out and about and you're like, oh, I'm not going to be home for 30 minutes and I'm so hungry, you can get something to eat. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you'll make it and you'll be just fine. No harm
Yeah.
will come from that.
Our favorite thought to correct that is food is on its way.
Yeah.
So even on that drive home, when it's like, I used to literally be on my way home 20 minutes away and having food, knowing food was at my home and still stopping and driving through because I just didn't want to deal with the hunger. And so I
Right.
started, or while you're cooking dinner and you're like,
While
oh, I
you're
really
cooking,
want to
dinner is
eat.
a big one, right? You're cutting up
Yeah,
vegetables for a salad, you're popping them in your mouth.
right. And learning to say, like, yep, I hear you. Food is on its way. It's coming. That calms all of that down and you
It's
can
the
wait.
same thing as if you go to a restaurant and you
Yeah,
sit
you
there
have to
and
wait.
you order your food, you're waiting 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
Same thing.
exactly.
So it's just you don't have it prevalent there, right? You're not back in the kitchen making it. So
Right. Or leaving to go get
it's
something
so
quick while you wait.
interesting what our
You just
mind
wait.
does. It's
Yeah.
so interesting. You can tell a toddler who's crying that they're hungry, I'm going to make your lunch right now, and not have it ready for them for 30 minutes, but they stop crying because they know it's on the way. And we need to get back to that childlikeness.
Good point.
Um,
Listen, friends, one thing that's really, really, I want you to think about is we were not designed to feel anxious around food, especially when it is so abundant, right? We don't need to feel this anxiety. This anxiety isn't helping you. It's not helping you be stronger against your cravings. It's not helping you be vigilant. It's actually creating a buildup of energy that eventually you break against, and your behaviors with food will match that. And also, like, it's not peaceful to exist that
no,
way for all day long, to be
it's
worrying
always
about what you're
rolling
going
in your
to eat.
mind,
Yeah.
always.
We weren't designed to have that experience with food. We're designed to feel the cue, respond to it, take care of ourselves, get fueled, and move on with our day. And so if you're feeling some of these anxieties, try the things that we told you for each one. Let's correct those and shift the energy, and you will shift completely how you're showing up with food.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right. Good luck. Get to work.
Thanks.